people are joining. So welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on BMC Helix AIOps and Netreo. We're going to be talking about resolving user network experience issues with the power of AIOps. Today joining us as a presenter is James Mancini. He will do his formal introduction when I hand over shortly. Just a couple of reminders, in particular for those that haven't used Zoom before. There is the Q&A section of Zoom at the bottom. If you have any questions during this session, please put them in there. We do have quite a few slides to go through. We do also have a team of panelists that will try to answer them, but we will also have time, roughly around 15 to 20 minutes at the end, where we will take your questions live. So please do be interactive and put your questions in the Q&A. I'm now going to hand over to James to get us started and to do a formal introduction. James, over to you.
Thanks, Sam. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is James Mancini, and I'm a Senior Product Development Architect at BMC. And we're thrilled to have you here for this presentation on how to use network observability to manage user performance and improve your results. So in this session, we'll show you how BMC Helix AIOps combined with Netreo's powerful network observability functions enables rapid detection and resolution of user-affecting performance problems. This integrated approach empowers IT teams to proactively address issues before they escalate, which ensures a seamless and high-performance user experience across the entire enterprise. We've got a lot of exciting content to cover today, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start by talking about some common network performance issues and some things that affect most of the customers that we talk to in the field. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time going over the BMC Helix solution and how integrated network observability really fits into that solution and what are some of the benefits that it provides. I'm then going to go into some real-world examples of how AIOps speeds up time to resolution and actually helps to solve problems and can help to achieve a faster return on investment in real-world situations. And then finally, at the end, we're going to have some Q&A time. So any questions that you have that do come up during the presentation, as Sam said, go ahead and make sure to put those into the chat so we can get those answered for you. So one of the most common issues we see with end user performance is network-related performance problems. And some of the more common problems that we see include things like latency, packet loss, jitter, and bandwidth congestion. High latency causes slow response times, obviously, but it can also affect the performance of real-time applications, things like video conferencing, databases, and it can really impact user productivity if they're waiting a long time for their applications to respond. We've all been on the phone when some agent on the remote side is trying to look something up on the computer and there's this interminable delay while we're waiting to hear back and their computer system chugs away in the background. So the more we can reduce that and the more we can control that, the better experience we're going to be able to offer to our users. Packet loss forces the data to be retransmitted. So in most cases, this increases delay and it wastes a lot of network bandwidth. And at a high enough level, it can actually break the application entirely. But that packet loss can occur inside or outside of our network, depending on where our applications are hosted. And of course, once that's starting to cause congestion, that congestion is going to slow down business critical applications. So we need to identify both the source and the cause of congestion to effectively deal with it. And let's not forget, we might also be dealing with performance issues that stem from other parts of the enterprise infrastructure, things like server or storage bottlenecks, remote software API calls, or even end user station problems. And many of those will masquerade as network issues. So being able to identify the actual cause and skip around to make sure we're going straight to the real source of the problem is critical. Now, these problems aren't new. They've been around as long as there have been networks. But as the network complexity increases, finding and solving these problems becomes more and more of a challenge. Things like poor usability and heavy admin requirements can really weigh down on our management and operations solutions. That can increase the time it takes to get value out of those products, and it can also really sap our IT team's efficiency. Similarly, limited network observability means, maybe we're not seeing all of the different pieces and components of that puzzle. So we might be falsely led to believe that there's a problem in one area and spend a lot of time trying to track down the root cause, when the reality is it's caused by something entirely else. That lack of, a quick time to root cause really starts to impact our MTTR and the time it takes to restore service for our users. And addressing these issues requires a comprehensive approach that includes monitoring, analysis, and resolution all in one place. We really want to combine data from all of the different possible sources and automate the process of identifying the root cause quickly and efficiently. We may even want to automate specific remediation actions. So when certain types of problems happen, we can quickly and automatically fix those problems, rather than having to wait for human intervention and get that system back into service more quickly. Now, without an effective network observability solution, the IT organization is typically overburdened and, spending a lot of time chasing down ghosts in the system. Heavy administrative requirements are going to force them to spend more and more time just keeping the monitoring systems themselves running. As an example, many monitoring platforms require days to weeks of effort just to perform a simple version upgrade. Now, this can mean that IT teams are stuck in a reactive mode where they're waiting for alarms to come in before they can take action. And in extreme cases, they may even be waiting for users to complain about problems. Real world data actually shows that when users begin to have problems with their applications, they don't report them to IT right away. Going and opening a ticket or calling the help desk isn't the first thing they do. First, they're going to spend time asking their peers for assistance, or if they're experiencing the problem. They may even take a break and go get some coffee and come back and see if the problem's resolved itself. What actually this means is that by the time a user has actually complained about the problem, it may have been happening for 45 minutes or even longer. We don't want to wait that long to resolve these issues and suffer that loss of productivity. So if our monitoring system is working, we shouldn't have those delays. But if it's not tuned very well, we might be getting a lot of redundant incidents and alarms. And this is one of the main complaints we hear from customers of other platforms. They're generating hundreds to thousands of alarms per day, which does no one any good, and generally means that the IT departments are swamped trying to sort the noise from the actual situations that require attention. This eventually ends up in something important being missed, and that's going to result in a major outage that takes a lot longer to resolve and costs the company a lot of money. All of this ultimately leads to a worse experience for the users, a worse experience for the IT team members, and poor overall business results. So BMC Helix addresses these issues by providing an integrated platform that includes network observability along with event management, service management, and best-in-class artificial intelligence. An example of a real world result that we've seen here is that a lot of our customers have been able to see a dramatic reduction in time to root cause. We've achieved some spectacular results with this product. Our customers have measured and seen reductions in time to root cause of 84% and corresponding reductions in MTTR. And that's resulted in millions of dollars of concrete cost savings in the first year alone. We've also had many of our customers reduce the volume of false and redundant alerts in their environment by 99% or more. And you can imagine the reduction in load and tickets that the IT teams experience, and all of that adds up to an immediate and measurable return as well. One of our larger customers even managed to reduce their IT tools operational costs by 50% in the first year alone, and by 74% by year 3. So let me show you how we get these kind of real world results. BMC Helix Operations Management is designed as a comprehensive operations management solution. It includes AI-driven automation that helps IT drive business success instead of just being in a reactive firefighting mode. Centralized observability allows you to resolve issues faster and prevent critical problems. And by making sure that we're getting intelligent alerts and automated issue resolution that eliminate alert fatigue, we can drastically increase the time decrease the time it takes to resolve those issues and increase the time that our users can spend being productive. BMC Helix Operations Manager incorporates all of these functions and allows you to roll those all into single dashboards, allowing for cross-platform correlation, automation, and root cause analysis across the entire enterprise. This diagram kind of shows you at a very high level what the overall architecture of the BMC Helix operation management platform looks like. And you can see here that AI overlays and takes in all of the different data sources, including things like events, logs, baseline prediction, and of course, root cause determination, regardless of source. And this allows an enterprise-wide AIOps approach. BMC's large number of out-of-the-box integrations with third-party tools drastically reduces the time required to implement, integrate, and train to make AIOps productive. So when we talk about integrated network observability, what do we really mean there? So what we're talking about here is that a comprehensive network observability solution needs to include that AI-driven automation, but it also allows for central observability to resolve issues faster and prevents those critical problems. Again, automating the admin load of the system itself means that it can stay better tuned to the environment. It can generate more meaningful alerts. It can generate fewer false alerts and allows, IT to free up time that they can actually spend on moving the organization forward. That intelligent alert correlation and automated remediation functionality also saves my team a lot of time, so that we can start, getting those problems fixed before they start impacting users. All of these functions combine to really help make sure that the IT team is running proactively and they're spending time focusing on important issues and not just being bogged down hunting false alarms or sorting through massive lists of events trying to find which one actually caused the problem. One of our customers told us that previously they did an analysis that showed that more than 30% of their total mean time to repair was spent with trouble tickets bouncing between IT groups trying to determine which team actually needed to solve the problem. So when an outage happened, they would get separate alerts from the database management platform and from the application management platform and the storage management platform and the network management platform. And all of these alerts would go to their respective teams. All these teams are running in parallel, trying to figure out exactly what's wrong. Without comprehensive visibility where everything comes into one platform and is being looked at holistically, it's very difficult to get to that what is the root cause and make sure that the team that needs to fix it is the one that's focusing on it faster. That reduction can really mean an immediate savings. A big part of that is being able to handle events properly. So being able to handle event management in a policy-based way so that we can easily create customized policies to control and manage events, including things like logs, using a no-code or low-code GUI, allows me to really build rapidly sophisticated policies. They can reduce the unnecessary event noise and really filter out some of the problems that I don't need to know about right away or that are not actionable. It can also allow me to, enrich those events and to add additional context to failures, so I can be sure that, when I do get an event, it already contains all of the necessary information that that team is going to need to start resolving the problem. Now, BMC Helix incorporates best-in-class AI ops, and by what we mean by that is that we incorporate many types of different AI functionality into Helix to really give the best possible utility for AI. There's a lot of questions in the market about how does AI actually create a return on investment, and a big part of that is being able to apply it in multiple ways simultaneously. So BMC Helix includes predictive, causative, and generative AI functionality. So by being intelligent and using service-centric monitoring, it means that we can make sure the focus is on services that are important to the business, and provide deep insights into performance, availability, and importantly, allow the AI to understand the underlying architecture. Once the AI knows what the architecture of the systems and applications are, it's much, much easier for it to determine what the root cause of a problem is. BMC Helix Discovery is by far the industry leader in that kind of dynamic service modeling. It makes this process much quicker and easier, so you don't have to manually build out all these software models. Our experience shows that a lot of customers who try to do this end up getting bogged down in the software modeling stage and never quite get the system complete. And that's one of the things that really hinders AI adoption and return on investment. By automating a lot of that process and having hundreds of different out-of-the-box blueprints for different kinds of applications in Discovery, BMC Helix is able to make that process much quicker and get the AI functional much, much faster. By employing these kind of event correlation and using advanced anomaly detection techniques, we can reduce the event noise significantly. And that can be a big impact. I can't really emphasize enough how much time to root cause detection can mess up your environment. And hopefully, you haven't experienced this too personally, but a lot of organizations tell us that, this is one of the big challenges they have is that they get an alarm that says the database has crashed. So the database team goes and finds that the problem is actually the database only crashed because the storage stopped responding. And then the storage team says, well, we don't have any problems. And they end up looking at it and finally determine that, the problem was that a switch port went down, for example. But because all these other teams were working on the problem, a lot of time is wasted and a lot of money is wasted. So being able to correlate information from all of those different sources and then apply those artificial intelligence machine learning algorithms to that really allows it to effectively get you to that faster mean time to resolution. So because we can isolate that root cause automatically and reduce that alert noise, now I'm not dealing with hundreds or thousands of alerts. I'm dealing with a single, what we call a situation. That situation can incorporate all kinds of different events from related problems within the application or within the stack that delivers that all the way from the application down to the network wiring. And by knowing all of that in advance and having all of that mapped out by discovery automatically, now when there is a problem, it becomes much easier for the AI to direct the right team to fix the problem and point them at the actual root cause of the situation. One of the things that this also does is this empowers us to reduce repetitive situations because once we know the actual root cause, we can get to a much faster and simpler resolution for those problems. In an automated fashion. So there's not a lot of manual troubleshooting time spent doing it. By streamlining these alerts, eliminating repetitive issues, and even providing recommended solutions based on past incidents, BMC Helix AIOps is really providing a lot of value, and it's the most effective solution on the market today. Now, a big part of lightening the administrative burden for a platform is to make the process of getting things into monitor as simple and quick as possible. Now, we at Netreo call this zero-touch onboarding because many of our customers reach the point where new devices can come on board to monitoring without them having to take any action in the monitoring platform at all. So the way this works is the process starts with discovery. So we are constantly scanning the network for new devices, but we're also linking into key APIs like SD-WAN controllers and CMDBs to find new devices as they appear in the environment. Now, that's a pretty common function in the industry, but it's what we do with that information that really makes the difference. Because once discovered, we put these devices through what we call interrogation. And this allows us to identify what's going on with that device, what it's running, what services it's offering. We can use any of the different kinds of information that are accessible about that device in order to classify it. So that can include naming conventions, location, what software is running, what services it's offering, even things like dynamic database attributes, sent in from an inventory management or a CMDB system. And all of those go into identifying, what kind of device it is, what role it's playing, what needs to be monitored on it, what priority it is, and what are the appropriate credentials that we need to be able to manage that device. We then use that information to apply a rule-based configuration in order to automatically place it in all of the correct groupings, mapping, applications, reports, and dashboards. We apply user-specified templates to make sure all of the necessary alerts and thresholds and monitors are applied to that device in order to make sure that it's monitored correctly and completely without any administrator input. So by being rule-based, this approach is highly scalable. So it really means that now I can onboard 10,000 devices and it doesn't take any longer than onboarding 1,000 devices. And if I can scale my environment without having to scale up my tool administration load, you're going to see significant benefits quickly. This also allows for very rapid deployment, even in large enterprise environments. One of our customers with over 40,000 devices under management in 14,000 locations was able to deploy the entire solution and get it into production in less than 30 days. And without this kind of automation, those results just aren't possible. And it's something that virtually none of our competitors can match. Now, Netreo also automatically does first line correlation on alerts to minimize event noise and reduce IT workload. And this alone dramatically reduces the time to root cause and mean time to repair compared to our competition. But it also means that you've got things like thresholds that can self-tune or anomaly detection functions to be able to find unusual behavior or to apply both of those to the same metrics and the same measurements throughout the environment. It also incorporates what we call active response technology, which gives us the ability to automatically execute commands on monitored devices as a response to events. And so this allows you to automate things like a process restart or a server reboot or an interface restart, and it can be controlled and limited by time of day and day of week. It can also be manually executed on demand by operators with the correct permissions just by clicking a button in the web interface. These events then are generated from the Netreo system and fed up into the larger BMC Helix Operations Manager platform. So then we get the AI-based correlation on top of all of that, including the data and events coming from other platforms or even from third-party applications. So we've still got that true enterprise-wide event correlation and automated root cause analysis beyond just what you're getting from the network layer. One of the other things that we found is that getting the data out of the tool is as important as being able to make it easy to get data into the tool. And so we've developed a system that allows you to do instant reporting. So the idea is that a Netreo user can instantly generate, schedule, and distribute a report from any page or view in the website with comparison graphs of any metrics in PDF and CSV formats on a schedule or in real time, and without any report building skills or tools. So no SQL, no scripting. I can just say, hey, I like this graph, send it to me every week, and I can keep an eye on it. And I can click that email and schedule button and instantly add that to a report that I've already created, or create a brand new report starting from that view, and then schedule that to go out to any number of different recipients, daily, weekly, monthly, or whatever. So this means that I don't have to wait for that one guy who went through all the training to be able to create reports or deal with a long internal delay as the overworked IT guy who's in charge of reporting for my tool has to make changes to the report to meet a new reporting requirement. If any user can create any report on demand as needed, the user efficiency of the tool skyrockets. And this also enables you to get away from relying on reactive alerts exclusively. So the example I like to use here is that it's great we can tell you when a server is about to run out of space and you need to drop everything and go purge the logs or clear up some drive space to keep it working. Everyone can do that. But a proactive way to do that is even better. What if I get a report every morning that says, here's the servers with the lowest available disk space. So now I go fix the top few on that list while I'm having my coffee. And now I know I'm not going to get woken up at 2 a.m. to prevent a server crash. Now, my IT staff can work on moving the business forward and enabling next generation technologies for me instead of spending all day running around with a fire extinguisher. And a hidden benefit of that our customers have told us about is it actually allows them to hire and retain better talent because really good engineers dislike spending their entire day in a stressed out reactive firefighting environment. The more proactive that you can get, the more widespread the benefits are going to be throughout the entire environment. It's better to prevent a problem before the users even see it than to wait till the users have a problem and then fix it quickly. Now I'm going to spend a few minutes going through some real-world examples of how these technologies have helped our customers improve user experience and reduce troubleshooting effort and get to a faster resolution for their issues. So this first one is actually a customer environment where they've got about 800 locations. They're all accessing cloud-hosted applications through local ISPs. So this is a not uncommon profile for a mid-sized company. They have a mix of internal apps that they're hosting on cloud providers like AWS and Azure and SaaS applications. But they were very concerned about end user experience. Obviously, since every site is now accessing these, cloud resources from a different direction, it becomes difficult to manage. But because some of these platforms are not platforms that they control, it was difficult to use traditional APM on these. So instead, we were able to offer them a solution using our Path Insight tool. And Path Insight monitors hop-by-hop paths directly from end user stations at the different locations. It allows me to get alerted on path changes such as latency, packet loss, or the number of network hops. And then, of course, all of those alerts can be automatically suppressed during change control or maintenance. Since it uses a TCP-based measurement, it allows me to test the same kind of QoS and prioritization policies I've put in place with my network resources, and allows me to rapidly determine if the cause of a problem is inside or outside my environment. So this particular customer got a path latency alert indicating that there was excessive delay on a path, and Helix Operations Manager raised that as an event. They were able to quickly determine that the problem was a failover within the ISP that serviced a large number of their locations. So they were able to go to the ISP and escalate those problems to try to get that resolution sped up and get that problem fixed faster, because they were able to quickly identify this is not inside our network. We don't have to waste any time troubleshooting on any of these devices. We can go straight to the ISP and pressure them to fix that problem faster and tell our users, we understand that there's a delay. We're working on the problem, with our providers. This second example is a little bit more complicated because it involves a lot more variables and a lot more different areas within the environment. So this particular customer has a private high-speed network that runs to all their locations because they've got a mission critical application that requires very high bandwidth and is tied directly to their revenue. So any delay or interruption is an immediate financial impact and reduces their customer satisfaction. Because of that, this application needs 24-hour monitoring, even in the absence of any user activity. They were able to use the BMC Helix platform, including Netreo network observability, to get that Path Insight agent to monitor applications, from those end user stations. And when an unusual application delay was determined at the last hop, it was also able to go in and look to see if there were any correlating alerts for network bandwidth or congestion. And in the Helix Operations Manager, that generates what's called a situation. So the AI looks at all of these different aspects that are coming in at the same time from all of the different sources, including third-party monitoring software and other kinds of platforms that might be feeding data into it, and creates a situation using that topology model that Discovery has automatically built for it. It correlates all that data together, including log data, metrics, change detection and change control issues, and then can create that situation. And based on that situation, it will then go in and create a probable root cause. So it'll figure out what the likelihood of a particular failure is, assign a probability to those items. It'll even take a fingerprint of those of that particular situation, and it'll go back and look at historical events in the past to see if there's a correlation with any, for example, resolved service tickets in the past. And it can use that data to generate best action recommendations that are based on those situations so that it can advise first line operators on what to try first to try to resolve the situation based on things that might have worked in the past. So that suggested remediations allows you to kind of get to what the possible solutions to that problem are even faster. Using this technology, they were able to determine that the root cause was actually not the network at all, but was in fact a server CPU issue, and identify the process responsible. It also then allows them to potentially automate problems or problem resolution for future occurrences of this issue. For example, like restarting that process or redirecting traffic to a different server if the spike should persist. So if this delay becomes a long-term or a widespread problem, they can take automated action. So before their operators and network engineers can even get involved, the problem can be resolved from the user's perspective, and then they can get directly to fixing the underlying problem. Now, with that, I'm going to hand things over to Yaron here, who's going to talk for just a couple of minutes here about some of the additional resources and references available. Yaron?
Thank you, James. Great presentation. So we're going to, before we talk about the different resources that are going to be made available for you to learn more about what we do at BMC and specifically about what we talked about today, we need your help. And we are, as you know, arguably the leaders out there today in the market in AIOps, and we want to make AIOps better. And there's nothing more effective than getting your input about what we do. So if you have your mobile phone handy, you can just scan this QR code and fill out a really short set of questions about how you see AIOps and where it's going in the future. There's a $25 gift card in it for as a thank you from us for that. And if you don't want to do it right now, or you don't have your phone handy to go and fill out the survey right now, you are going to get a copy of this presentation and a lot more, links and useful information after this webinar in an email that Samantha is going to send you. So next slide, please, James. And again, no need to really go into this right now, but you're going to get an email with all of this really useful information. So you've got our homepage, you got overviews, use cases, a lot of useful information that you can then be in contact with us. If you have any questions or you want to learn more about anything mentioned in these resources, we also have documentation and technical documents and videos that are on YouTube. Again, all of these links are going to be available to you in this presentation that you are going to get an email. Also available to you is going to be the recording of this webinar, where you can see all of the great information that we saw from James. And next slide, please. Here you have links to all of our past webinars that we've done around observability and AI ops. So a lot of these, so they kind of build one on top of the other. So it starts off with really the basics of AI ops, and then kind of deep dive into different, really interesting individual subjects. And as you can see here in the links, there's also links to the Q&A, which brings us to the next slide, James. And again, which is our Q&A. So I really encourage everybody. I'm going to allow all the participants now to be able to go off mute and join the conversation. And if you have any questions that you want to ask, please do take yourselves off mute and let us know if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to hear more about.
You're on why people are just thinking about questions. Hopefully we'll get someone to raise a hand or they've got them. Just another pointer, we run this as a monthly series. We do have 2 already in the pipeline, so do keep an eye out on our BMC community page. I do update those regularly. We have got more topics that are coming up, and we're trying to do these on a monthly basis. And hopefully, if you have any questions or you think content would be great, there's a 5-minute survey that you'll get with all of the recording, which will be sent out in the next 24 to 48 hours.
And now would be a good time. I mean, if you have any questions, or like I said, if you'd like to learn more in this webinar, you can raise your hand or just go off mute. I know being the first one, not an easy thing, but maybe I'll call on somebody. No, I'm not going to do that, but anyways, if anybody has any questions or wants to learn more, please go off mute and let us know.